Hi, I'm Todd Carswell, a solutions engineer at Zoom. I'm going to demonstrate the user experience for our Workspace Reservation feature. Here's a preview of this session. We'll start by demonstrating how you can reserve a Zoom workspace using the following methods: a web browser, the Zoom desktop client, a Zoom mobile client, Zoom phone appliance, a scheduler display, and a kiosk. Next, after you've reserved your workspace, you'll see how easy it is to check into your space using a web browser, desktop or mobile client, the Zoom Room hardware itself, or even a QR code. Let's start by reserving a space with a web browser. With the browser open on your computer, navigate to either zoom.us or a URL provided by your administrator. Either option brings you to the Zoom website. After login, you'll land on the Meetings page. On the left side of the page, you see the Personal section. Here, you'll have access to configure all of the Zoom features you're licensed for. To reserve a space, scroll down and click on Workspace Reservations. By default, you'll be taken to the floor plan that you most recently accessed. Let's take a quick tour of the interface. In the middle of the page is the floor plan. Here you can see the various workspaces and their availability. At the top of the page, select the date for which you need a reservation, and you can also specify a time period. Next, you can select the pull-down menu and navigate the various sites and floor plans specific to your organization. Simply find a location and click on it to display the floor plan. For my reservation, I'm viewing the first floor of Building 1, and here's an overview of the spaces. I'll start by selecting the Nags Head space, and the side panel shows me details. I can see this is a video conferencing Zoom room that has a capacity of 5 people. To close the panel, simply click the top right of the page. Another space on my floor plan is the Onslow Video Conference Room. This is the smaller Zoom room with a capacity of 4. Zoom also supports hot desks. These are for users who are visiting a site and need to reserve a desk. When I click on 116 Desk and Phone, I can see this is an office with Zoom phone equipment. I also have a space on the first floor that is simply a desk with no phone or video equipment. You may see these types of spaces available on your floor plans. So that provides a quick tour of the reservation page along with the types of spaces you might see in your organization. Now let's reserve the Nags Head conference room. After selecting the space, I see a picture of the room along with the date and time, and these can be changed by selecting them. I see the location and capacity of the room. It meets my needs, so I click Next. On the next page, I still have the option to change the date and time. I also have a place to create a Zoom meeting name. I'll type in the Facilities Quarterly Review as my meeting name. You have the option to select the meeting host as yourself or the Zoom room. It's common to make the room the host of the meeting, and the passcode is created for you automatically. When you're happy with the settings, click Reserve and your room is scheduled. That's it. The next option for reserving a workspace is the Zoom desktop client. Here you see the client open on my desktop. Immediately after login, I see the home page with options to schedule, join, or start a meeting. We navigate around the client using options across the top. For workspace reservation, I need to select the option called Apps. If it's not displayed on your client, simply click More and then select Apps. Workspace Reservation is an application available through the Zoom Marketplace. Your administrator will approve this app for your organization, and you simply install it by clicking Add Apps and searching for it. Once you have it installed, it shows up on your list of embedded apps in the desktop client. Please note that at some point in the future, Workspace Reservation will be a standard option in the Zoom client, just like Meetings and Team Chat. With the app installed, left-click on it. Just like the Zoom website, when the application opens, you land at the last floor plan you accessed. The user interface is exactly the same as before. Across the top, you select the date and time, as well as the campus and building and floor of interest. From there, you can click on spaces and review their setups. I can see that Nag's Head is already reserved from our last example. If I select Onslow Video Conference Room, I can reserve it just as before by clicking Next, setting up all of my meeting information, and once I click the Reserve button, the space is assigned to me. Now we'll reserve a workspace using the Zoom mobile client. I'm displaying my iPhone on the desktop to demonstrate. When starting the mobile client, you land on the Meetings page with the same options as the desktop client. You navigate using the options across the bottom of the mobile client. To access Workspace Reservation, go to the bottom right and click More. In the middle of the page, click on Workspace Reservation. The client takes me to my most recent floor plan. The top of the page has options for changing the location to another campus, building, and floor. At the bottom of the page, I can select the date and time. After choosing a date and time, I swipe down to remove the calendar so I can see the floor plan again. From here, I simply click on the various spaces to review their suitability. Then I click Reserve. I set up my meeting, invite participants, set my meeting options, and once I'm happy with the selections, I click Reserve again, and the space is booked. Let's do a reservation with the Zoom Phone appliance. The scenario for this method is basically an employee is walking up to a hot desk and they're making the reservation using the desk phone. Here you see the Zoom Phone appliance for room 116. The device shows that the space is currently available, so I click the Reserve button on the screen. On the first page, you can change the time period of your same-day reservation. You click in the middle of the selection and move the entire reservation, or you can click on the top or bottom to adjust the length of the reservation. With the time selected, click Next. On the next page, you're presented with options to complete your reservation either through a QR code or via email. Let's go back to the desktop and I'll show you how the QR code option works. Here I'm back in the mobile client. I go to the bottom right, I select More. From there, I scroll all the way to the bottom and select QR code. Immediately the camera opens and the app starts looking for the QR code. Simply click Reserve in the mobile client to complete your reservation. The final option I'll demonstrate for reserving a workspace is the Zoom Room Scheduler display. I'm using a Logitech Tap Scheduler for this example. These devices are typically mounted outside of a Zoom room so users can easily see if the room is available. When you walk up to the display, you can see any upcoming meetings. Click the Reserve button on the screen to start the process. On the next page, you can click the Change Rooms button to access the floor plan and view availability of other rooms. There are options to select the meeting time and duration. Going back to the main reservation page, I have options here to set the meeting name, the passcode, invite participants. When I'm happy with the selections, I click the Reserve button and the space is mine. Please note that since I'm making the reservation at the Zoom room, I don't have to use a QR code or email to complete the reservation process. Also, please note that your organization may have more stringent reservation requirements, so I'm simply demonstrating how to use the touchpad scheduler. One final note about reserving a workspace. Here you see a touchscreen display deployed as a kiosk. Your organization may have these devices set up in central locations to allow users to easily see the floor plan and room availability. To reserve a workspace from a kiosk, simply walk up to the display and touch a workspace to review options and schedule it. The workflow will be similar to examples you've already seen in this video. With the Zoom Workspace reserved, now we'll demonstrate the options available for check-in. This step is important because your reservation is automatically canceled if you don't check in within a time period set by your organization. The idea here is that if your meeting doesn't happen, you don't have to remember to cancel the reservation. Zoom will automatically remove the reservation to make the space available for others. Here's how you check in using a web browser. Navigate to zoom.us or the URL provided by your administrator. After login, go to the Personal section again. It's on the left of the page and scroll down to Workspace Reservation. Click on Workspace Reservation, and on the top right of this page, you click My Reservations. Review the information and click Check In. That's it. At this point, your space is unavailable for the duration of your session, and if you finish early, you can come back to the Zoom admin portal and click the Checkout button to make the space available for others. You can also check in using your desktop or mobile client. I'm showing both my clients here to demonstrate. From the desktop client, navigate across the top to More and select Apps. Left-click on Workspace Reservation, and this opens the application. Within the app, go to the top right and click My Reservations. As before, you click the Check-In button. And now here's the same procedure using the mobile client on my iPhone. After logging into the mobile client, I go to the bottom right and select More. Then I select Workspace Reservation and check into my space. One item to note here, hot desks, they require you to be physically at the desk to check in, so it's not available if you're not there. You can check into a Zoom room remotely as your attendees may already be in the room waiting. Our next check-in method involves the Zoom room hardware. I'm showing the scheduler display on the left and the room controller on the right. I have an upcoming meeting and I have two options to check in. I can click check in on the scheduler, or I can simply start the meeting from the room controller. After I've finished with my meeting, it's a good idea to click the checkout button to make the space available to others. The final check-in method is for hot desks, and it involves a QR code. You see here a Zoom phone appliance showing my upcoming reservation. On the right side of the screen is a QR code. Underneath the QR code is a button that says Check In. If I click that button, I'm required to use a web browser, so we'll stick with the QR code. At any rate, just open your Zoom mobile client, and on the bottom right, click More, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click QR code. Scan your code and complete the check-in process. This session covered the Zoom Workspace Reservation feature, demonstrating how users reserve spaces using a computer, a mobile phone, a kiosk, or even the room equipment. We've also seen how easy it is to check in and out of a reserved space. I hope you found this informative. Have a great day.